Coming up on this episode of the Village Idiom.
He said, I thought you had coronavirus. I said, no, I had a case of corona, which is very different. That's why I was missing work.
Village Idiom.
Hello and welcome to the Village Idiom.
We are a podcast, and every single week we choose a popular saying and take an admittedly shallow, hopefully comedic, once in a while interesting, and if we're really lucky, educational dive into its meaning, its usage, its origins. But mostly, we're going to use it to hang our otherwise directionless conversation on. My name is Jurassic Park. Oh, I said Park. I'm not Jurassic Park. I'm Jurassic Mark.
You're so close. And I'm Skinny. Fantastic week out here.
Right? The weather's nice.
Well, ish.
How you been feeling?
Well, you know, I've had a few sick moments.
Actually?
Well, I got in trouble because boss yelled at me. Yeah, he's like, "What are you doing here? You said you had coronavirus." I'm like,
just for a second there, you sounded like your boss was Arnie. What are you doing here?
he said, "I thought you had coronavirus." I said, "No, I had a case of corona, which is very different." That's why I was missing work. So, but no, I've been feeling fine.
Speaking of missing work, and you work at a church, the clip I have for today's idiom is Marge making excuses for Homer missing church. Are you ready?
Okay.
Here we go.
Well, they're under the weather.
They're under the weather. That's today's idiom, under the weather.
I hate when my wife is under the weather because I have to like carry her to the kitchen to make me food.
Oh, it's a pain.
Yeah, it's such a drag.
But do you drag her or carry her?
Well, but it's no fun feeling like garbage.
No, and that's exactly the meaning of this idiom. As very familiar with this one. Feeling under the weather, being under the weather just means you're ill. You're not well. You're struggling with something.
I love the broad range of under the weather because it's like, I don't know. Do you feel like you need to press me to ask more details? I'm like, hey, how you doing? It's like, I'm just feeling a little under the weather.
Yeah.
You wanna probe?
No.
Exactly.
I've heard that it's also used for like hangovers, but like, which I guess is accurate. Feeling under the weather is just about your feeling, not about what you have, which goes to what you were just saying.
Under the weather.
Yeah, I'm feeling under the weather.
Yeah, it's just something's not quite right.
Now, wouldn't the case be that we're always under the weather?
Well, I guess depending on if you're on top of a mountain.
Ah,
you could be
above the weather.
No one ever says that, though.
Nobody says they're
I'm
over.
feeling above the weather.
How are you feeling today?
I'm above the weather.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like superior.
See, I still don't want to probe.
That's good. I don't want to be probed.
Over the weather. Over
Yes.
the weather. That flows better. Above the weather. Over the weather.
You could be in the weather.
In the weather. You're dealing with something.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm in the weather right now.
I'm in the weather right now.
Feel the weather coming on. Anyway, none of those are the idiom. The idiom is feeling under the weather. Under the weather.
Well, because it's such an older phrase and it meaning sick, I was generating this scenario in my head where like teenagers from the 1500s be like, your carriage is so under the weather, bro.
Your carriage?
Your new horse and carriage? Under the weather. Instead of saying sick.
Oh, I get it.
So every time something comes up that you would say the word sick.
That's not how we say under the weather now.
No, but you would say, so instead of saying sick. That
under the weather.
That's so under the weather.
UT Dubs.
Under the weather, bro. So
I'm trying to start. Do you remember me trying to get people saying brawl? Like, I think we can get people saying brawl. That's so brawl. So here's my new one that I'm going to go for. That's the dice, yo.
The dice?
That's the dice.
Okay.
That's so awesome. You say that's the dice. That's so the dice.
The legitimate children, when you're
around
the water cooler today, try that is so the dice. Yeah. That is the dice. Oh man, that's the dice.
Right?
Yeah.
It feels good.
It does.
Yeah.
Anyway. That phrase is under the weather. So dice.
That's the dice. Yeah, under the weather. When's the last time you felt under the weather? I've had a streak of feeling good.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go 2021.
Really, like actual COVID.
Probably. I can't remember being.
Did you have COVID? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think everybody had at least one.
I don't think I did. I haven't been sick since before COVID. Unless the last time I was sick was the beginning of COVID.
So there's
it
this
off.
remnant of people that are like, I never had it. And so it's like, oh yeah, no, that thing that affected like 99.9% of people.
I know.
And
Unless
you
I
dodged
was
the bullet.
non-symptomatic, maybe.
Which I think everybody who was anybody that had any interaction with anybody, you got it. But it was just that it was just so crazy mild that it wasn't like, it was like, that was it. Like, yeah, that was it. So, yeah. So that's my thought. Under the weather.
Yeah, I would like to take whatever test to know if I ever had it. But I think the vaccination probably
saved your money and
just say I had it.
Assume you had it like everyone else. Yeah, so well, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway,
you're dragging up.
We got time here, but
who's dragging up March of 2020?
We got time here, but I'm going to give you a little challenge to see if you know the origins of feeling under the weather.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 3 choices.
Oh, I've got other things to talk about.
Yeah, no, I'm not moving on. I'm
Okay,
just
good.
going to jump into this game. You can
Sure.
You can. We don't have to rush into origins, but do you think that it came from one? I'll give you 3 choices.
Okay.
1, is it nautical? You're nautical.
Nautical. So nautical.
Does Under the Weather come from nautical?
Yeah.
Choice number B. Does it come from the invention of umbrellas? Choice letter
I like that.
3. Does it come from the postal service? Yeah.
I like B.
Umbrellas.
But
Ella.
I'm gonna say B.
Okay.
But I'm gonna try and justify A, and even possibly a little touch of C. So nautical.
So you're not really answering, but you're going with mostly B.
Well, the only reason I say nautical is because it's so generic.
I thought you said B. B is an
I
invention
did, but
of umbrellas.
I'm talking in my brain outside of my mouth hole.
You're thinking out loud is how they usually say that.
Okay.
I'm talking out my brain through my mouth hole.
So I'm going to go with B, but I could see a case for A. C is the weakest of them all, but whatever. Okay.
Hey, rain, sleet, and snow. The mail's got to go.
Wow, that's how you're tying it in. That's definitely made up. So it's not C. So I feel like I just went from 50-50 Monty Hall. Okay. I was thinking of famous people, famous characters that were famous because of their medical problems.
Okay, Elephant Man.
Wasn't on my list. That would have been a great one.
Okay, give me your list.
Okay, just people. I'll describe it a bit, and then you go. That's this person. Okay. A fish with chronic memory loss.
What?
A fish with chronic memory loss.
Oh, Dory.
Dory.
Right. So her disability, so to speak.
She's known for her disability.
Okay.
Okay, so trying to follow that along. Okay. A schizophrenic mathematician.
A schizophrenic mathematician.
Mm-hmm. Illegitimate children. Chime
Are
in
we
at
talking
home.
about Leonardo DiCaprio played him? Howard Hughes?
Oh, no, but I don't think that was his particular thing, was it? So
No, I just can't
with,
think of mathematicians.
I'm going with character's name is John Nash, played by Russell Crowe.
Oh, Beautiful Mind.
Beautiful Mind.
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't remember his scenario.
Known for his disability. Okay. Autistic card counting brother.
Rain Man.
Rain Man. Good one. You pulled that up.
There we go.
You're fast with that. Okay.
Was actually Rain Man was Tom Cruise, because that's how he said his name. What was Dustin Hoffman's character name?
It is so that Dustin character is Raymond. It's Raymond.
No, that's how he says Tom Cruise's name.
It's Charlie Babbitt.
Oh, you're right.
I know.
He says his own name as Rain Man.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it backwards.
That's okay. It's okay. It's hard to keep all the disabilities straight in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're doing good, I think. So I don't want to mess with you. Okay. Arthur Fleck, the psychopathic clown.
I'm gonna go with it, but I don't know.
That's the Joker.
Oh, right. Yeah.
A little bit sad?
Is that his name in the history of Batman?
I don't
know. Or
know.
just in that one?
I don't know. That's a great question. Okay. Okay, now this one's a little trickier, and we'll end it out with this one. Cystic fibrosis teen rom-com.
Is that
Anybody out there?
Fault in My Stars?
Oh, very close. You're on the right vein. You're very much in the right vein.
Is it Mandy Moore?
No. Oh, you are pulling them out of the woodwork.
Cystic fibrosis.
This one is 5 Feet Apart.
Oh, I don't even recognize that.
Well, then there's more disability movies for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. No.
That's what today's all about.
Yeah.
Which, just for the
Cystic
record,
fibrosis.
we know that if you have a...
I'm not saying cystic fibrosis is funny or anything like
No,
that.
I'm not saying that. If you have a disability of any sort, just want you to know that we're aware that's not what... oh, you're a little under the weather? That's not what...
Well,
I want to
it's
go
probably
on record
personal.
saying that we wouldn't say that.
Our friend, Mr. Madden.
Although if I ever...
Have you ever shared that story in a...
Which one?
Little
Oh, that wasn't him.
senior?
No, it wasn't a Madden at all.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
It was a Schroeder
Oh, what?
Jr.
Oh, okay. So it's highly likely not listening to the podcast. I don't know if you're comfortable sharing it.
Sure, yeah. It's fine.
This is the case of, it's not just under the weather.
we've said this many times on here. My daughter, you've seen her on if you watch YouTube.
She's been on it a few times.
She is 15-year-old daughter. She has Down syndrome. So when she was a toddler, I think we ran into a mutual friend. You weren't there, but ran into him at a whatever store, and then she was running around. And when she was really little, it was not as visible, which is common for kids with Down syndrome. Was not as visible, so people weren't sure if she had any disability at all. And so anyway, she runs off with mom or wherever she went, and our friend just goes, now, correct me if I'm wrong, but your daughter, she has a touch of the Downs?
Yeah, and you went, no, she's just under the weather.
Oh, yeah. She's just under the weather.
Which we've used.
She's got full-blown Downs.
It's kind of like pregnant. Yeah, you are, you aren't.
Yeah. Touch of the pregnancies?
You just got a touch, eh? Yeah, which...
to be fair, the spectrum, for lack of a better word, of how severe your disability can be does vary in Down syndrome, but there is no measuring of Down syndrome. So you either have it or you don't.
The lightest amount being a touch of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we've used the phrase since as a
touch of the Downs versus
you just got a touch of the
truckload of Downs.
Yeah,
you got a truck of the Downs.
Yes. So it's not that cystic fibrosis is not just feeling under the weather.
No. But because we're talking about feeling ill and
chronic memory loss. Oh, you're a little under the weather, are you?
Yeah.
No. There's dementia going on.
Elephant man.
Exactly.
Feeling under the weather.
Oh, I got a touch of the elephant.
Well, I am. It has nothing to do with my real issue here.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So that. Yeah.
Anyway,
moving along.
I think we super carefully covered our butts there.
Okay, good.
No, I think we did a terrible job of putting in the disclosure. Anyway, yeah. So feeling under the weather is much less severe than everything we talked about in the last 5 minutes.
Just feeling a little under the weather.
Yeah. Yeah, it usually is milder, right? Like you don't, like if you've got a wicked flu where you're hurling every day, you're not like, I'm feeling under the weather. You're just like, I'm dying.
If you're roughing your guts out or
it's
like
not under the weather.
Bedridden.
Yeah. You're drowning in your own fluids.
Yeah, you're just a little under the weather. No big deal there. So anyways, moving along, I'm gonna stick with B.
Invention of umbrellas.
Just because it's a little wacky. My brain tells me that A is involved.
Nautical,
just because it's undescript and could be an old phrase. And then C is entirely made up.
Pony Express.
Continue.
No, Postal Service, I said.
Definitely made up now. Hard to get the lie straight.
All right, let's get into it.
Where'd they go? No one can know. I turned around and looked behind. Those words came from
First of all, because I don't think we led into it, here's another little snippet from The Office. Just for...
Yeah, heard you were under the weather.
That's it. Little echoing of Steve Carell, Under the Weather. So we've talked about what it means. It obviously means to feel slightly ill, some version of being unwell or hungover, as we discussed. It's just you don't feel right. And so...
Is it seasick? Got me thinking now. Okay,
Under the Weather has its roots in maritime language. It is nautical. When a sailor became ill or seasick, often because of violent weather conditions, a sailor was sent below decks to the most stable part of the ship, which was under the weather rail, it was called. The phrase under the weather rail was shortened to the idiom under the weather. So it used to be under the weather rail. Now, I will say that, again, we have a few examples. They all come from nautical, but a few examples of whether it comes from that, like, you're feeling under the weather, so you're under the weather rail. Did it come from that phrase exactly? Linguist Richard Lederer tells us that under the weather meaning feeling ill comes from the language of sailors, which we've already talked about, but his description is a little bit different. He is quoted as saying this: on the high seas, when the wind would start to blow hard and the water became rough, crewmen and travelers would go below deck and down to their cabins in order to ride out the storm and avoid becoming seasick. In this way, they literally retreated to a location under the weather. In digging a little further, we find out more. According to Salty Dog Talk, The Nautical Origins of Everyday Expressions by Bill Beavis and Richard G. McCloskey, the term in its entirety is under the weather bow. They tell us that the weather bow is the side of the ship upon which all the rotten weather is blowing. So, I'm going to continue because while there's total agreement that this idiom has its origins in nauticalness, which is a real word, it's not entirely clear which origin. So another popular theory says that ailing sailors would recuperate below deck. So it wasn't about avoiding the weather by going underneath. It was that's where you were when you felt ill. You went under. So it literally put them under the weather decks as opposed to the crewmen who were still exposed to the elements. So an offshoot of that explanation claims that crewmen and passengers would go below decks during bad weather in order to avoid, which we already talked about. So there's kind of a ping and pong of either way it's below deck, but it was either to avoid getting sick or it was that's where you went when you were sick. One little wrench to throw in the works is there was in most big ships, there's a ship's infirmary or sick bay would have been below decks, so that would be where someone who's sick would go, but you also would just go under there to avoid the weather. So under the weather could be either to avoid getting sick or because you are sick, and maybe there was no difference back then. It's just where you went if you were seasick or could have been seasick. Many 19th century instances that it's been in use, the weather has nothing to do with poor physical health. It had reference to a multitude of things like financial difficulties, a political party's struggles, could be a variety of things. It didn't mean you were physically ill. An entire city's failure to prosper. So here's a quote from New Orleans Times Picayune, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, in 1843, from a Boston correspondent. Everything is very low priced here now, except real estate, which holds its own, a fact illustrative of the confidence which has always been felt by our citizens that Boston could not long remain under the weather. So it has nothing to do with physical health. It just means things are not well. It also, there's an article in 1826 which the expression is used to mean drunk. There's also another one that has to do with, so piracy is completely under the weather in the area. So it's like, interesting, what is that supposed to mean? So in its current use, it has to do with how well you're feeling, what's going on in your health, and it's definitely nautical, but there's a lot of wiggle room as to the origins and how it was originally used. So its original use obviously had some literal...
See, so it's a generic illness phrase.
Yeah.
As opposed to like a specific one like Lou Gehrig's disease.
This
is very specific.
Right.
Yeah, which is also not just under the weather.
No, it's worse.
It seems, and generic and common under the weather, like flu-y. Just it's
right.
It's not rare. Like, have you heard of Tom Jones disease?
No.
People have like, is it a rare disease? But it's not unusual.
There it is. I couldn't think of the song. I was like, what's new, Pussycat? Okay. What could it be that he's saying?
Yeah,
Funny.
something generic. Like we were saying. It's like, no, I'm just feeling under the weather. You don't feel like probing. It's not specific.
Yeah, it's just moving on.
Indescript unwellness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's...
Well, that's
you
good.
were
I feel sad
not,
for...
Your first guess wasn't correct, but you had a backup plan with
I-
nautical. You should have gone with it.
It's... That
Lemon,
whole,
you're looking a little under the weather.
Alec Baldwin there.
that whole Navy-ish thing in England, and there's always these phrases that come out of that genre, so I should have known better, but whatever.
Nautical has its roots in a lot of things.
Yeah, that's what... I
Yeah.
should have gone with it.
Yeah. Oh, well.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I thought you might have gone with Postal Service because they're in the weather constantly. Those guys.
Them guys there. Well, as we wind this baby into the end, I just have a few more things that I'd like to talk about before we get into...
Yeah, me too.
Okay. No, I don't. I never do. But
Riddling is a game we like to play. It takes a two-part trivia-based question, requires a two-part overlapping answer, overlapping by syllables, word, or word. So, for example, last week, when we talked about taking the Mickey, that was our R-rated episode.
oh dear.
Only because one of the riddlinks was Mick to rated R.
Yeah, that was Mick to rated R.
So we left you with... you can kill a vampire by driving this through his heart while also Britishly teasing him. And the correct answer was...
Staking.
Wooden
stake.
Wooden staking the Mickey, yeah.
Wooden staking. That makes...
So wooden stake, taking the Mickey, wooden staking the Mickey is the correct answer. And I'm looking down here, and I didn't write any puzzles for today.
Because you wrote
Again.
10. You wrote 10 last week.
Man.
Well, if you can cook up, I have a couple prepared. I have a couple, so you want me to do one and then give one away?
Yeah, I'll get one by then.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, I can get one. I'll get one.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, I'll work on. I didn't want to bring this up.
Oh.
It's but for people who are coworkers that just seem to be ill frequently throughout the work week, but they seem to have decent time off. It's referred to as weekend immune system. It's a weekend immune.
Weekend.
It's a weekend immune system.
Like, what are you talking
I'm giving you
about?
time.
Oh, no, I'm ready. Go,
Okay,
give me
you
the-
ready? Okay,
Yeah.
here's my first one.
I didn't know you were waiting for me. I just thought thought this was all build up to your first riddling puzzle.
Australia's nickname isn't feeling very good. Australia's nickname isn't feeling very good.
That has got to be down under the weather, mate.
Down under the weather.
You got another one?
I do. I do have another one.
Okay.
And I'm going to say it right now. A lost clownfish cartoon is a rap song about excess wealth means excess challenges.
Say it again.
A lost clownfish cartoon is a rap song about excess wealth means excess challenges.
Wow, this is evading me.
A lost clownfish cartoon
Yeah.
is what?
It's either the lost clownfish would be Finding Nemo.
Nemo.
Yeah. What was the second part now? I forget.
A rap song about excess wealth equals excess challenges. Mo.
Oh, just the mo part. I was trying to get emo out of it. That would be Finding Nemo Money Mo Problems?
Yes.
Oh, man. I should not have struggled like that. That was
happens.
hard.
Brain locked. Village Idiom children, when this one finally gets sorted out, you can reach out to us and answer it. This clever one that's coming up.
Yeah.
On Instagram at the.village.idiom or email us thevillageidiompodcast@gmail.com, or whether it's the Facebooks, the YouTubes, or the Twitters at 3 minutes
All
gone.
right, here's what I got.
Okay.
James and John, Zebedee's kids, they weren't feeling that great. Let me give it to you again.
Wow.
James and John, Zebedee's kids.
I do.
They weren't feeling that great.
Got it. And that is 3 minutes gone.
Oh, boy.
You're so Christian-y sometimes. I love it.
You know what I was trying to use was a quote from Princess Bride where he's one of the greatest blunders, but it's
Blunder?
plural. And I was trying to get blunder into
Never
under.
get involved in a land war in Asia.
That's pretty good. Wow. That sounds like him. That's impressive.
Well,
Well,
that was this week.
that was this
Get
week.
back to doing whatever you're doing. I'm Skitty.
Do you think they actually paused what they were doing to listen to this?
No.
They've just been continuing.
No.
Yeah. Take a break. You deserve it.
Still skinny.
I'm Jurassic Park.
And these are the Village Idioms.
And that's 3 minutes gone.